Hey y'all, you're listening to Spiritual Freedom Podcast, and I'm your host, Susie. I'm glad you made it. So this is a safe space where we get to talk about anything and everything spiritual and metaphysical, but we're going to talk about it without the judgment, without the fear or religious guilt, and without losing any credibility. So let's open our hearts and our minds, and let's talk about the weird without being weird about it. Hey guys, I'm adding this introduction real quickly because I feel like I missed a little layer, an important pause in my message in this general reading that you're about to hear. And I want to make sure you hear it. I talk about in the general reading at one point about kind of a perspective of how I see life. You know, I had to really move personally from victimization to seeing things happening to me, fate, life's bad shit always happened to me, kind of stuff that I've personally felt, to kind of like trying to find the gold, the lesson, the love, the soul lesson, right? So that I can just move past those energies to healing at some point. But I definitely don't know if I emphasized how much, that can be in terms of time to move through. I don't mean to fast forward anybody or push on some sort of spiritual bypass message that we need to get straight to healing. That journey to healing is long sometimes, and it's interrupted, and it's, it's up and down, And so I just want to make sure you hear that from me before you listen to the rest of this video, and know that that's a real thing. And I acknowledge it, and I want to make sure you hear that. And otherwise, I hope you hear the rest of the message from my heart and take what resonates. And if it doesn't, then flush it down the cosmic commode. And thanks for listening. Hey, y'all. So we are in spring break world up here in the Pacific Northwest. Pause there and think about where the hell I'm at. I hope y'all are doing better, but you can kind of tell. I think I just need, even if I'm not taking full days off of work, I think I needed this little beat or break from like the everyday schedule with my kids going to school, and I've got to commute with one of them, and it's just been draining, to be completely honest with you. So I'm kind of glad to have the spring break energy, even though it's just the weekend. I'm about to feel it. And I don't know, I just felt like getting on here and doing a general read right now. So for those who maybe aren't astrologically inclined, that's totally fine, but I'm going to talk about it. We just had Pluto move into a new sign, and Pluto moves signs approximately 20 years-ish. And so this is kind of a big deal when you think about astrology energy. And I'm about to release a couple things on astrology, a couple podcast episodes. One is this fantastic, she's the magic, not me, interview with Jennifer Edwards, who is my personal go-to for astrology. I'm part of her online community, the Moon Lodge. And so that was just a really fun, interview. And then I'm going to do like a little basics of astrology, just so you guys just a little talk about my personal reasons on why I do follow astrology. And it's so much more than the sun sign. So if you're thinking horoscopes that you've read and like don't connect with, exactly. Because you probably don't know what your real orientation is in terms of your birth chart. Anyway, that will be in my intro. And then when you do, you realize they're totally different signs. So I read horoscopes that are for a Scorpio, which is a November born. I'm a January born. I'm a Capricorn sun. But when you know your rising sign, you actually do horoscopes based on that. I'm just going to give a little quick FYI there, because I'm just kind of giving an update. But I'm about to release kind of why I choose to kind of follow astrology and why it made sense to me. A little bit of the basics, so you kind of understand a little more. Like, I just thought it was a sun sign. I just thought that's what all it was. And then I'm going to have the Jennifer Edwards interview. And I'll release both of those pretty soon. But on today, I was just like, let me just get on. I just feel like releasing an episode about just energy right now. Like, Pluto changed and Mars changed into Cancer today. Thank God for me personally. It got out of my 8th house. Again, I'll go into astrology basics, but that was a tough like transit. I think about the last 6 months when Mars was in that, anyway, I don't even go into it. The first day of retrograde, it was a vehicle accident. So, and that, anyway, I just won't go into it all. Not on this one. I will in the next episode when y'all want to hear it, with the astrology topic. So, but today I'm just going to pull some cards and see what message of healing for our highest and best comes through. I've already grounded into the earth for protection. Like, y'all do this every day, just 24, this, if I remember it in the morning, I try to. As soon as I forget, if I feel a little funky, I'm like, ooh, I forgot to ground. And so I was grounded to the earth just to stabilize my energy. And then I envision myself surrounded by like this bubble of divine protection light. So it's just me and my energy and light from the divine and info from the divine, right? Because it's not some other entity or whatever. I just don't want any other influence other than God, basically, or source, whatever you call it. And then I set an intention, and today's intention is just to, get a reading that's most helpful and healing for us at this time, given this astrology change that we've had. And I just kind of want to get into it. Okay. So the first deck I'm going to use here is, just trying to think about what kind of, it's a hex, what is it? If it's 6-sided, anyway, they're really cool cards. They're like 6 sides, like looks like a bee comb, kind of like, those kind of 6-sided circles. Anyway, it's just like a year of Mercury retrograde for me. I don't care if Mercury's direct. I'm having a hard time communicating all the time lately. But anyway, I'm trying to explain this card deck that I'm using, and it's the Wild Unknown Alchemy Guide. This is the guidebook, but it's the Alchemy Oracle cards by Kim Kranz. And I'll put it in the show notes too, so y'all can look it up if you want to use it. These ones are always so great. So I use the Oracle cards because it's a great kind of quick connection to source without having to totally get in that Zen, beta, theta, or whatever, state of mind and clearing my mind. And I don't always get to go there where I get those serious messages. It doesn't always come, although, the more you practice it, the easier you can kind of get to that kind of Zen. But these oracles are kind of a nice, okay, I can't do that this morning. Let me just grab some more oracles and kind of talk to source. Wow, my cards just kind of went everywhere. Maybe I'm everywhere today. So I appreciate y'all listening to me, first of all. But, it's funny too. I used to give myself such a hard time about not being precise in communicating. And as an attorney, you can tell other attorneys when they're in the deposition zone, or they're in this high trial prep kind of zone, or they haven't, even if they're out of litigation, and they're just super fucking critical on how you explain something. And I just had to really relax on how I communicate. And some days it's better than others. And so thanks for letting me just heal with you guys. Okay. And this is what I'm going to do. This is just me today. I swear to God. Interesting. It's like the cards are picking up my energy. I don't mean to. I want it to be about what's highest and best for all of us to hear, but we're getting it. Okay. So I'm getting this card. It's called Antimony. I got to look it up. I haven't ever pulled this card before. And then I get Neptune. And she has another word for it, Neptunus. It's kind of interesting. I didn't know she looked this up in Greek, or what I don't know where Neptunus comes from, but anyway. So Neptune is how I'm communicating right now. It's a little too ungrounded, flow state. It's just kind of, Neptune's about dreams and illusions, right? And we kind of have to, ground ourselves, ground our energy. And I say that kind of meaning with the grounding technique, but also just slowing down those things to kind of make sure we're in our own energy, on the daily. I think we don't realize our energy on a moment by moment basis until we suddenly realize that we made a decision that was stupid. And I have a hard time checking in with myself too. I have to really be okay, I'm being, especially when someone asks me something, I'm okay, I'm being called to make a decision here. I need to where am I at? Internally. And to protect myself, because I have always been a quick accommodator, saying yes, whatever I can do. And then I always search on how to I can pick up this, I can pick up 5 million things. I can carry the financial burden of this entire thing. Let me just volunteer myself for it. I sought out that kind of service as you know, it's a wound. I thought myself only valuable if I'm like extremely of service to someone. So, you know, over the time, I've kind of had to slow that down. I've been like, irk. Well, you know, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. But so Neptune is coming out kind of with me, for me, like just intuitively, like with that energy of like, hey, watch the illusion, watch the Neptune energy you might be being affected with right now. Y'all, I will try to slow down and enunciate, but oh my God, today is just a day. Okay, and then let me look at this antimony card. So it has a picture. I'm not really going to describe the Neptune. It just looks like hands, well, looks like hands praying, and it says Neptune. It has some like shards of light coming out the tips of the fingers. There you go. So the antimony card is gray with some orbs, blue orbs at the top, and like maybe a diamond in the middle on the top. And then it's like got a wolf outline in white. And then it does have Neptune, doesn't it? This is a Neptune symbol to me. It's a little more fancy, but that looks like Neptune to me. And because then this is the Neptune normal kind of glyph, and I'm showing the video. See what I'm saying? Like a little different. Oh, sorry, trying to get it there. It looks like the same Neptune to me. And then on the other side, you've got an upside down Venus, which to me means confusion about, you know, how I'm making money, how I'm valuing things. So there's a little, and Neptune is all about confusion. Like I said, it's illusion, confusion, dreams. I don't know if I said all the IONS kind of word, but it is confusion, illusion. There's another one. Y'all are just gonna like deal with me and my communication skills today. Okay, antimony. Okay, so it's a wildness, fierceness, hunger. And that's kind of the wolf energy. I'm getting the 80s song in my head right now. And it says, so antimony became known as the gray wolf of alchemy in medieval times. That was due to the metalloid's unpredictable qualities and its ability to eat away materials in the laboratory. Gold is one of the few materials to withstand contact with it. For these reasons, this card must be read with delicacy. On one hand, it represents wild and free spirit that longs to express itself in the world. On the other hand, it represents a fierceness that can turn destructive or corrosive at the drop of a hat. The message here is clear. Channel the gray wolf's energy toward creativity. Challenge it to come out from the shadows and express itself. Embark on the creative project or venture that's calling you rather than focusing on why you can't. Once you begin, don't quit. The gray wolf responds to respect, not repression. So that's like today. Like right now, I could have stopped this video 18 times. 18 times because I'm not speaking well. And that would have at one point with my, like I told you, kind of intimated, like my attorney criticism. I could have just been like, this is not right. I'm stopping again. And then like it gets me pissed off. Because I've had to start and stop, and I'm thinking, I can't talk today. I can't. Well, once you go down that road, and even if I jokingly say it to y'all, I know there's power in my words, and I'd probably not joke like that. But whatevs. I mean, it kind of is. Like, the way I speak is just kind of annoying sometimes. I'm sorry if this video is annoying you guys. It kind of is to me on some level, but it's okay. I'm dealing with it. I'm working with it. So Neptune energy is hitting me on how I'm communicating. So, and then it also, this message of like, you got to be careful of the wildness, because you can kind of like step toward a project that like can become corrosive, right? So like me doing this video, the moment I start getting into that, like, I want to get this perfect, and I start and stop, well, then suddenly I don't want to freaking do any video. And then it becomes weeks since I've like recorded. And I think now that I look back on like some of the delays and why I haven't maybe come forward with a video as much as I do, is because I feel like this energy gets me. It F's me up. I kind of feel super self-critical. I'll stop it, and then it's like the energy, if it's gone or it's changed a little bit into criticalness. So yeah, I'm keeping this video exactly as it is, even though I know I sound like kind of a wandering idiot at times. Y'all just got to be, you know, forgiving for me. And then also be honest about like, does this happen to you in times? And then how do you accept it? Do you just kind of roll with it? And I mean, here I am putting this video on public media. It's going out there. My wandering Susie little diatribe is going. It's going out. It's going to be published. So I feel this. And like what will stop me from my creative process, from getting out here and delivering a message, is the fact that I can turn so critical on myself. And I think that's maybe the message here from Spirit, which is just like these projects that you want to do, are you really like killing it because of some sort of critique, some sort of like expectation that's like, it has to be perfect? And I even remember seeing this for my firstborn. They would be in school, and I swear to God, it's like they don't want to do something and not have it, 100%, like math. They didn't get 100% on their tests, and they would come back just being like, I did horribly today. You're going to hate me. And I'm like, we don't have that message here. Why do you think we're going to hate you? But they would think like a horrible person for not doing well at school. And this isn't with any messaging from home. Like, we're not like, I don't think we were, God, that critical toward our kids. We wanted them to do their best, to be honest, and to give a really good effort. But we've always been like, it's hard. Don't put perfection on yourself, because I had that struggle. So anyway, I just feel like that's kind of maybe going to resonate with somebody or maybe one or two. It only takes one to be a win, right? If it resonates with anyone, yay. About being too critical on yourself and kind of being just aware of it, catching it. And just so draw that drawing that looks half-assed on one side and wonderful, fantastic on the other, and just keep drawing. Or go out and do your own podcast and just do the first episode, or just do the intro and start recording yourself and hearing yourself on the recording, just to start hearing your voice. And then it suddenly won't sound so weird. I'm just kidding. It always sounds weird to me. That's just me, but you know what I'm saying. Don't let it stop you. Don't let the weirdness stop you. Yeah. Okay. And then I feel like I want to pull one more from here. So I'm just kind of going to blind pull. And the last one is going to be, oh, that's really pretty card. It's like really pretty. It's a bee, black and white bee in the middle, and then honeybee. And then you've got like 4 orbs around it on each like north, south, east, west kind of direction points. And it's like in this background of a pretty rainbow. And it says Spiritus Rector, benevolent guide. And I've read this card before. That one's just like, you're being led. So even in this open kind of creative process, we're following the breadcrumbs. And I think it's so that we have the energy open enough so that we can get like more and more better messages or more and more healing. It's just that if we don't crack open to being led and just having a little humble pie and laughing at the humanness of how like, getting our brains going takes a little bit of time, like, have you ever just like started talking to someone and at first you're really awkward and then you're like, okay, finally, like going to like a holiday party. Like the first person I'm going to see there, I'm probably pretty socially awkward AF with. And then, but by the second or third, I'm like, okay, we're all in this. Let me just, so how are your kids doing? You know what I mean? It becomes easier. And I feel like that's kind of the same energy about creative projects and, using our soul talents. We're supposed to be using them. And that critique, I don't know why I'm suddenly putting emphasis on the wrong syllable, but the critical kind of nature gets in there and interrupts us, and it kills the project. It kills the seed. And yeah, so I'm not going to change this video. We're just going to keep on going, even though I sound like a fool in a little bit at the beginning. Okay, so that was the first set of cards. Then I want to do my Oracle deck here. It's the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And again, I'll put it in the show notes. I'll be better at putting things in the show notes. And let me just, again, so the intention, same intention, same protection. Highest and best message from Source for us. And I'm just going to chop them until one flies out. Ooh, there we go. That one kind of TikTok, divine timing. Okay. All that glitters. Yeah, I know this message. Oh, this one was like yin. Okay, this is great. It's just like a general, it's got observer on the bottom card. I'll explain all the cards for those who are listening to me on the podcast platform. I do remember you can't see jack on what I'm doing here, so I'm trying to explain. So the first card of this that I pulled is TikTok. Hands kind of open and with the alarm clock with looks like a balloon attached to it, like it's flying out of the person's hands. It just means, a lot of times it just depends intuitively, like what I feel. It can mean like time's going really fast, I'm really busy, or it can mean like I have to wait for divine timing. It's one of those two. So when I look at TikTok with all that glitters, and all that glitters is just a pile of gold with someone who's looking from kind of like a ghost face, kind of looking down on this pile of gold, like, examining it. And the whole point of this, when I put these two together, is that there's divine timing and sequence from when we receive things, because we have to figure out if it's really what we want. And thank God we don't manifest right away, because there are things that I would have manifested that I definitely look at now and I'm like, oh no, not with a 10-foot pole. So it's frustrating, but it's an illusion that we have to, it's an energy of an illusion, like that's not good for us. Like I have to wait, petulant child energy that you just kind of have to tame. You do. And you just got to trust and go back to a tenet of like, I have what I'm supposed to have right now for a reason. Let me relax in that. There's something that eventually this time period is going to show me. So it's kind of like that liminal space talk that I did last, I think it was last episode, that sometimes we're just in a saturation time, in a preparatory time, to really figure out what we want. And some people, I don't want to say some people, I have been one of these people that you just don't like really spend time to be like, what do I want to call in my life this year, next few months? What do I want to do? Do I want to write a book? Do I want to do, a tarot or oracle deck myself and kind of design it and kind of, do I want to do some art project, that's got spiritual healing wrapped with it and do a meetup group? Like there's so many things that is outside of making money and doing my chores every day. Like I just can't, I don't know, guys. I'm just talking for myself. I have a beautiful family, but there is something else in me that requires me to be out talking about spirituality. It is just in me. I kind of talk about it. My friends always laugh at me because when we're around talking, like I'll be the first to talk about death. Like how long did it take for Susie to talk about death? Like just has always been like a thing for me to talk about spirituality and death and why we're here. I just don't talk surface level. I can, but I don't really go to it naturally. And I feel like there's a lot of us that are like that, and that we've been through this like automatic setting of like working, coming back in chores, doing our health, doing our eating, with all that stuff. And we're still like, there's something missing. And if that's feeling true for you, I would suggest you look to a little bit more at the spiritual gifts. And don't let that scare you. I was able to be open to stop taking classes and things that I was like, okay, there's no way this is real, but whatever. It's going to be a chuckle-worthy event for me to go through and like, just have open energy. But I just kind of was like, well, we'll see if this is real. A little bit of that, a little bit of a critical eye, an attorney's eye to like, when I did Reiki, I thought the people were great, but I just was like, I'm not expecting to be a miracle worker to feel energy. Because that was kind of early on in my meditation practice where I hadn't really started physically feeling things yet. And anyway, but doing it and then experiencing things in that path or through that class and the trainings later and practicing it at home, I'm like, oh my God, there's something here. And so I would rather make steps forward in the spiritual realm and finding my gifts and trying to do energy movement kind of class or a mediumship class, something that, the rational you never would have picked years ago. Like just go for it to see what's out there. And you'll either find that it was a chuckle-worthy event for just, shits and grins and you tried it, or it's going to really speak to you. And that's what I've experienced. I experienced the latter. It's spoken to me. It's shown its truth to me. And I just feel like that's out there for a lot of us. Like a lot of us don't make those efforts. And I don't know if it's because of dogma from like your family. You don't want, maybe you don't want even your spouse to know that, you were doing mediumship training. That would be me. Did not tell him the first time around. You got to go where you're at, and I'm glad I eventually came around to telling him honestly that I was checking out mediumship, and yeah, it garnered a few more conversations, but like that was a good healing for us to kind of be like, dude, I'm just a weirdo. Like I've got to do the spiritual stuff. I cannot hold it in. I cannot do it. And, I just think about like how it's going to feel when I die if I hadn't tried, and all that frustration or all that like the understanding and the gifts and this love that I've been able to experience on a much deeper level because I've just decided to go for it and be weird. And and decided not to think of myself as losing any credibility as a person, as an intellectual person, as a rational person, because I have dabbled in mediumship or Reiki or, crystal work or dream work intentions, that kind of stuff. I'm just putting away my ego and not letting anyone else's dogma F with how I feel about myself. So that's kind of what I'm feeling like. I'm feeling like this time allows us to stop and be like, what's not really working for us? What isn't working in the way I'm living life, so that I don't feel like when I wake up, I'm really here for a reason, and you feel so satiated and seen by God in these moments when you do dabble in the spiritual arts. So I just want to throw that. And then the last card here is Yin, which is the receptive energy. It's the divine feminine, receptive, receiving. It's like this energy of like, you're opening your heart to being able to receive these gifts for them to get stronger. As John Holland says, the gift of being more sensitive energetically, spiritually, being open, is more sensitivity. And I think it's a really good thing. This is not a bad thing. And you just feel so seen by God. You see yourself as like, I have a real purpose, and that just gets turned on, and who knows what direction that's going to send you. I don't know if it's going to be sacred travel. I have no idea if it's like you become like a life coach, and this other kind of natural skill that you have, you wrap the two together, and it's like wonderful out there. Because I'm telling you, after 2020, it seems like a lot of us need the mental health services. And I think that there's more than just actually getting a therapist. There's a lot of gifts that we can give to each other for support in that kind of vein of getting like a better life and living it. And that's it. I'm just kind of, I didn't really go over the observer. So what happens is when you get a time period and then finally things start moving, don't forget to look back on it and be like, God, I was so impatient. Now I see why I had to wait for this opportunity to get ripe. Like there's something to linear time and learning the lesson of, let me not fight the seasons. Let me not fight linear time in this experience as a human, because it's not fun to wait. We have to think of a different way of looking at something. When we're waiting for something, God, we're like canned pressure, and that isn't open spiritually, energetically. And once we kind of like accept radical acceptance of where we are and that things take time, and maybe there's a glitter turd I need to miss. That's the whole all that glitters thing. It's like the time lets us look at what's real and what would help us, and then maybe what hasn't worked out, and well, thank God I didn't walk through that fire pit, It's like the glitter turd lessons. So yeah, wasn't gold, it was a glitter turd. we need to have an appreciation for looking back and being like, oh, that was my glitter turd, and I thought it was so gold, and it wasn't. I've done that with friendships where I'm like, you end up leaving it and you're just like, felt bad, so much sadness. But you look at it, you're like, glitter turd. Glitter turd. I'm glad I flushed it down the cosmic commode, because that's where it needed to go. I'm really going with that imagery, aren't I? Okay, last bit. It's 26 minutes in. Sorry, y'all. I try to keep them a little quicker, but let me see the next bit God wants to talk. Ooh, death. That's always a good sign. When I say I'm always like the first to talk about death. The death card is good. In tarot, it just means a change. It means a huge change. Perspective change. Oh, I'm not doing that. You see, that moment that you kind of are like, oh, I see it as the glitter turd. Like, well, then you're not going to it anymore. You had a death of that thing. You're not going to go toward it. That's kind of the death energy. It doesn't mean physical death. Ooh, Tower. Good night. Okay, and then 3 of Pentacles just dropped to the floor. So, and then also 6 of Swords showed up. Sorry. I'm kind of going for this card down here. Okay. Let me get this together, because it kind of came out in this order. So death came first. Like I said, this is like a change. Let me kind of just feel into this card a little bit. Yeah, I feel like when we kind of look at ourselves and our lives, and I kind of want to be gentle about how I'm saying this, but because I have seasons where I'm like, am I really fulfilling myself right now? And you get a little off, you get a little distracted. by either work. You have a busy work season, you have a busy family season, you've got, just life in certain stages or certain seasons get busy, right? I remember all my Saturdays were gone when my kids were in soccer, and I just was like, as much as I love it, I was also kind of happy when they ended up being done with that part of the sports, because I was like, my weekends are mine now. A little selfish there, but anyway. But the whole point is, like, when we look at our life and realize, okay, there's something here that I want to change, right? That I can I want to like carve out some more of my expression time, my me time, my creation time, something that you feel like, is it's not work, it's not the grind, it's not like a chore from the house or, like a hobby. It's more of like, I want to work on my spiritual stuff. I'm feeling like the spiritual thing. And it's like, I need to, because Six of Swords, you need to move toward the calmer waters. And that's the whole thing on here. And do they show the third? They don't. In most cards, it's a man who's kind of like, has a long pole and is like pushing this boat with this woman that looks like who's kind of clothed. And usually she's holding a child with this in this boat that has 6 swords. And it leaves choppy water for calm water. And the idea here, especially, it doesn't mean it literally always, that it's like you and a spouse and your family kind of chilling out. It's more of like within myself, my divine feminine, my divine masculine energy, and my inner child. I'm taking them all, and I gotta have a way of living life with more peace. And so that's kind of this death realization of like, I gotta change things so that I have this inner peace, because that's available all the time. Like, I mean, I know it takes work. It takes a lot of personal power to pivot like that energetically when you're kind of in depression or anything. And of course, therapists help, and sometimes we need medicine. So you know what to do if you need to seek, extra help. But when we make that decision to go in that direction, I gotta change. Tower means you're changing things. Like it's a big moment. It means, I'm just throwing this out there. I suddenly decide I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore. I suddenly decide I'm not going to drink soda pop or something. It doesn't have to just always be food or drink. Like, I'm just suddenly not going to hang out with this person who I think is a little negative Nancy, and I'm just not going to seek them out in terms of my friendships anymore. Or, something like that. I'm going to decide to like get a new job. Like it's way too negative in the environment, and it's just, I got to change it. The Tower is like, my environment is going to change. Because of this decision, death moment, for inner peace, I have to change my life. And where it brings you is to the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles, this is kind of a cool deck. It's the Morgan Greer Tarot. I'll show it right there in the video. But essentially, the normal version of this just shows one guy kind of carving into like a stone church, like he's forming the church. He's building the church. He's a stone worker. In a normal card, it shows the priest who wanted to build the church, who talks to the architect who draws the church, and then has the stoneworker there who is actually physically making it. So you get the 3 parts of manifestation. The divine inspiration from you communicating with God, to seeing a plan, which is the mental work, to physical work, which is like creating it in the 3D space. And when you have all that, you're like most aligned on our path. Now we're on our path no matter what. But you will feel alignment on this soul level when you decide to do this and you move toward this energy. And it doesn't mean the Tower isn't difficult, because it can really mean like a loss of a friendship, finding a new job that maybe isn't as much money or has a different, there's never quite this like total ease, because Spirit wants to know, like in that moment of choice, like, can you do it with this little limitation? Can you see past it, that this is better energy and that we can kind of move you to the next as you kind of heal? And so the Tower, it's not fun. The Tower is like literally a picture of a tower with flames because it was struck by lightning by God. Sorry, I'm just kind of laughing at the fact that this looks so dramatic. And it can be. It just depends on how we take it. Like, how do we internalize it? We see it as change for the good? Or are we going to see it as like, God, woe is me, God, has put me through the ringer? And you can see a couple people who are falling out of the Tower. Now, what I don't love about this rendition, again, this is a deck I just happened to pull, but the traditional I'm totally blanking on the name of the deck all of a sudden. It's like the traditional tarot, the old tarot is basically, I think one person is like more upright and the other person is like topsy-turvy. And I intuitively take that interpretation as one has felt and seen that this change is needed. And so they're ready more emotionally to do it, to get through it, and mentally open to doing it, what's needed, the change that is coming, versus the other one who was in denial, has felt the energy but ignores it. And then, you know, God's going to be like, okay, we're done with this one. You didn't do what you needed to do, so I'm going to take it from you. And it sounds really retribution-y, but like the whole process in this is it gets us to the better. It's a bit of a, you know, a soul scrapey experience, but it gets us to the better. It gets us to alignment if we're seeing life that way. Now, if you're not seeing life like that, then everything's going to feel like it comes towards you in terms of, you know, great, I'm being knocked around again. Now I'm getting knocked around again. If you have those thoughts, that is a victimization mentality. And I don't know, man, you're just going to get more of what you focus on. So if you see yourself being beaten around by life, I would really change how you're looking at life and try to find the gifts, try to find the growth, and then the things that come at you change. But that takes a lot of inner strength and humility, because our egos do not want to be at fault for anything, right? They want to blame other people. Oh, this came at me. I lost my job, or this happened here. This person left me. It is a lot of ownership. Now, I'm kind of talking in blanket style here. There's a lot of minutia detail about, you know, when the abuse happens and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not talking in terms of like an exact commentary on that, but I'm saying in general in life, it's the best perspective to kind of have is ownership for what happens, and to see it as an opportunity for growth and change for your better, for your soul's progression, for your next lesson, even if it's horrendous. And I've had some horrendous crap happen in terms of this last year with my kiddos, and just having to be like accepting things that are so out of our control, like, you know, a health issue, you know, monitoring a brain mass and that sort of thing. I mean, I could get really pissed at God, or I could see that it's made my child like so caring for people who have to go through, you know, multiple MRIs and like the scariness of a medical, you know, setting, and like seeing the people who have real true open hearts to helping people, you know, get better, and seeing their limited physical, you know, ability in a good light, so they don't feel so down about it. You know, because, yeah, I could go off on that, but I have had these experiences in terms of, you know, trauma and life shitty surprises, that I either could be, woe is me, or it could be like, thank you. And I don't want to sound too spiritual bypassy about the hell of it or the pain of it, because that is real. You get a beat, you got to take it, you got to like be honest about how it's affecting you, and however long that takes, and try to find ways to lessen it. And it happens over time, to change it, to transmute it, to transform it, whatever adjective I want to, or verb I want to call it. You know, I love these spiritual verbs. I'm like, when do you say transmute? When do you say transform? Just, they're interchangeable. But yeah, but my point is that it happens, that healing happens, and time is your ally. As frustrating it is, as it can be, time is your ally. And it will bring you to a perspective of basically seeing all that for a reason, like that it all has happened for a reason. And I'm saying this while I'm living this through my own life in terms of various things. So I'm with you. I'm on various stages of healing on all sorts of, you know, crap that's happened. So, you know, my heart goes out to you. I know it's not easy, but it's our perspective, and we can always do that pivot. I mean, definitely, I don't want to spiritually bypass, you get a beat, but like, find the truth, find the lesson, find the love. It's there. Okay, I feel like I have talked too long, but thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. I hope this reading, yeah, resonates, even if it's just like one little good nugget. Good. I'm glad it helped. And yeah, I hope the rest of March goes well. I'll probably see y'all soon with the astrological commentary or episode. Gosh, my words today. my episode on astrology and why it's important on my life, and kind of the basics, so that, you know, when I release the interview with Jen Edwards, you'll be able to kind of know what we're talking about a little more. All right. Thank you so much. Y'all take care. Bye.